All right. Welcome to the Voices of Redemption podcast. I've got my man Jay Viola over here. Jay actually reached out to me on Instagram. And crazy enough, me and Jay actually met, 3 years ago?
Yeah, about then.
With him working in the substance abuse industry.
We didn't even realize it till that text message.
Yeah, I know. I went to go, he's like, here's my number. And I text him. I'm like, holy shit, man, I was texting this guy back in 2021, 2020 or something like that. But Jay has an amazing story. Why don't you tell him a little bit about yourself, man? Where are you from?
So I'm from just outside of Boston, Massachusetts. Grew up there.
Hear the Boston.
Yeah, I've lived here for 10 years now, and I was in Vegas for 4 years before that, but It comes out once in a while. So that's where I grew up, and then I lived in Florida for a little while. I lived in Arizona for a little while. I was in Vegas for 4 years before coming to California to go to rehab about 11 years ago, and I've been out here ever since.
Okay, cool. So that's kind of how you ended up in California, was, trying to get your shit together in a sense.
Yes.
So you lived in Vegas for 4 years?
Yeah, so I moved. I'd already been struggling. So my journey started back outside of Boston, and I'd been right after high school or through high school. I got caught up in some drugs and drinking and partying, and it progressed really quick. I was like pretty hardcore heroin addict by the time I was in my early 20s, and I'd been in and out of detox probably like 50 fucking times, like in and out. I'd go in, I wouldn't be sick, I'd get out, and I'd fucking start using again. I'd be back in a month later, 2 months later. Like, it was just like a ridiculous vicious cycle. And then at some point, when I reached 30 years old, no, before that. So at some point, I got on the methadone clinic, right? This is back before Suboxone.
Right. And they say that stuff stays in your bones.
It was a nightmare to get off of. Yeah. I was on methadone for about 8 years. I transitioned to Suboxone when it came out. Was on that for about 3 years, then back to methadone again for a couple of years. Went to jail for like 30 days on methadone, cold turkey.
Oh.
Like, that was a fucking nightmare.
Oh, man.
Yeah, they were really hard to get off of. But anyway, at some point when I reached 30 years old, I started training MMA, jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai and MMA, and I fucking fell in love with it. And that even though I was on methadone and not sober, I was drinking and using coke here and there. That kind of started the transformation in my head of who I was to become later on.
Right.
And that's what actually brought me from Boston to Vegas.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I can't even imagine living in Vegas with a drug problem, bro.
So again, I was on methadone when I was there, which was a pain in the ass. I would get up at 6 a.m, go to the methadone clinic, then go right to the gym and start training.
Damn.
Dude, yeah, my first couple fights, my first fight back in 2006, I was on methadone. that was the train wreck.
Dude, I couldn't even imagine that.
But even when I was in Vegas, I was still training every day while on methadone. On the weekends, I would go out and party, but I was holding it together at this point. I was really into training and learning, and it was like the mindset shift I had from training jiu-jitsu and MMA and just like getting uncomfortable and being okay with it, because I had always considered myself kind of a tough guy growing up, even though I didn't, have any kind of training, right?
Most guys from Boston are.
Yeah, I think so. I would fight anybody, anywhere, right?
Yeah.
I was tough in that sense, but I was the biggest fucking pussy around. I let my feelings run everything, right? My emotions and my feelings ran the show. I wasn't in control of fucking anything, right? If I was hungry, I ate shit, whatever I felt like. If I was tired, I slept longer. If I was feeling uncomfortable, I went and got high, right? I had that's not a fucking tough guy to me. That's a big fucking pussy.
Right? I like the way you put that, man. I like the way you put that. You you be down to fight anybody thinking you're a tough guy, but whenever it came to those small, minuscule things, you couldn't handle that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I really like that perspective. I never really heard
that perspective didn't come to me till years later in hindsight, right?
Yeah.
When I was stuck, and again, you call it mental health, drug addiction. I was stuck up in my head. I couldn't see I didn't know what I didn't know, right? I didn't even know that I was always playing the victim. I was always letting my emotions run the show. I was a slave to fucking drugs and alcohol. I didn't realize it. I thought I was a badass and in charge and doing all these fucking tough guy things. And looking back on it, I was not.
Wow, man. I never really heard it in that perspective. I really like that. And What was your like drug as far as like what were you using? What was your main thing?
So it started out alcohol and cocaine and Percocets and Xanax, and it progressed to heroin pretty quickly. So heroin was my big thing. This was back before fentanyl was even a
Right,
thing.
because people don't make it as long now, man.
Yeah. Once in a great while, we would get heroin that was cut with fentanyl back in the day, and we would be pissed. You would know it because people would overdose, or you would get high for like a half hour, and then it would start wearing off. It was like, fuck, I didn't want this. I wanted fucking heroin.
Right, yeah.
And so when fentanyl started becoming popular and people like wanted it instead of heroin, I was baffled by it. I was like, what the fuck? We didn't want that shit.
Yeah, no, and that's really what I hear these days, man, is like I don't really ever hear like anyone say like, you know, like when they come in, obviously come into the treatment center or whatever, they, you know, we ask them like, okay, well, what's your drug of choice? And it's always like, when it comes to opioid addicts, it's always like fentanyl.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, I want the shit that's killing people. Like, it's literally like if it's not fentanyl, they don't want it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, heroin's like unheard of these days.
I know.
In my opinion, like you never hear someone say like, I was on heroin, you know, if they're in their, you know, 18 to 25 years old.
I go to a heroin, and I go to a lot of AA meetings. But I go to one heroin anonymous meeting, and it's funny. They want you to identify just as an opiate addict because there's no heroin addicts.
Yeah, no, it's not.
When I get up and I say I'm a heroin addict, they're like, I'm like literally one of the only heroin addicts.
Yeah, no, for real, man, and that's the truth. It's crazy how it's progressed, and it's like crazy how you're like, man, we were pissed whenever there was fentanyl on that shit. Like now these days people are like, oh, thank God it's fentanyl.
Yeah.
Like it's nuts, man. And you know, you're definitely very blessed to have made it this far, man, because you know, these days, I mean, I know you know, we kind of spoke about you working in the industry as well, but you know, people don't make it that long, you know what I mean, using opioids, and even people that are, you know, they Percocets is their drug of choice. They're coming across these fake Percocets that are just pressed fentanyl pills.
Different game today, yeah, absolutely. And that so. Funny story, kind of. I recognize this looking back too. Heroin was the big problem for me, but I knew I had a heroin problem. I was addicted to it, physically addicted, right? It was the heroin was the problem, right? I woke up dope sick, and then like that controlled me. So I had to go to detox. I don't know if I believed I was truly a drug addict, like anything mentally was wrong with me. I was just addicted. I got stupid, and I got physically addicted to heroin. It wasn't until later on when I was living in Vegas. I was on Suboxone or methadone, and I started using cocaine a lot. And I used to smoke cocaine back in the day, but at this point I was shooting it, IV cocaine. And I was literally, I would be like in a bathroom, like I got fucking crazy with it. I was like almost fucking dying with every fucking shot.
Yeah.
And I at this point I realized, okay, I'm done. After tonight, I'm done. I would wake up the next morning, and I'm not dope sick. You don't get dope sick from cocaine, right?
Yeah.
I wake up feeling okay, just a little anxious, and I couldn't not get more and do it again and again and again. At that point, there was something clicked in my head. I was like, holy fucking shit. This ain't just the drug is physically addicted. I'm not just physically addicted to the drug. I'm fucking mentally fucked. Like something needs to fucking happen up here.
Yeah, no, that's the truth, bro. And like, I say that all the time too, man. It's like, you can take the drugs away. You know what I mean? That's like honestly the easy part. You know what I mean? It's like stopping using drugs. It's like, it's a little tough in the beginning, but realistically, like that's the easy part, man. But it's like maintaining like that battle of like self. You know what I mean? And like the obsession, like that's the hard part. Cause like, I remember back whenever, you know, I was using, and, you know, like I wouldn't even, like you said, be dope sick. Like I'd be like, it was perfectly sunshine, you know what I mean? Perfectly fine day. And like, you know, I've been clean for 3 or 4 days, and like I catch myself driving to the fucking drug dealer's house.
Not even thinking.
And it's like, you know, like you're hitting the gas, but like you want to hit the brake. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you shouldn't be going there, but you can't stop yourself. You're like on autopilot, man. Like you're driving yourself, and there's no one stopping you. And it's like in your head, you're telling yourself, no, I should not be doing this. No, I should not be doing this. Turn around. But you just fucking, you autopilot all the way fucking there, man.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's the real battle, man, is that part of it.
I realized another kind of perception shift I had later on was that drugs were not the problem. Drugs were my solution, right? So I had a problem. I was fucking uncomfortable, whatever was going on, and drugs and alcohol solved that problem. I felt great. I used them. The problem was gone.
Yep.
So I continued to use them. Now, they became more of a problem than the original problem. But when you take them away from me, the original problem is still there. The drugs, now I don't have my solution anymore.
Yep.
So now I'm stuck with this fucking uncomfortability, this
Exactly.
real problem, right?
Yeah.
So drugs were really the solution from my original problem. I took them away. Now what's the problem?
Yep.
Fucking me. Yeah.
Me.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's the truth, man. It's really like, again, drugs are just a symptom. And I say that all the time. It's like drugs are only a symptom, man. And it's really like you that has to make the change. And it's in your everyday life, man. And they said that whenever I came around the rooms, or, you know, when I first got clean, they said there's only one thing you got to change. And that's everything. You know what I mean? And like that didn't make sense to me back then, but like today it really does, man. It's what you put in your body. You know what I mean? It's the food you're eating. It's the music you're listening to. It's the people you're surrounding yourself with. It's what you're watching on social media. It's like a lot of different things that have to change. And I think like you're actually, you know, really into eating clean these days.
100%. So yeah, 100%. It's actually a struggle of mine when I see like AA and the 12 steps and this kind of community and the spiritual change that I've had and the through it is big. But I hate seeing people get okay getting sober. Now they're better than they were when they were using drugs, because they're not using drugs anymore, but they're still smoking a pack of cigarettes, drinking coffee all fucking day, eating like shit. Their life is like mediocre, right?
Yeah.
And they're okay with it because it's so much better than it was before.
That's that cap that they're putting on
yes,
themselves,
when
man.
people, now not that drug addicts are any better than other people, but a lot of drug addicts are just as good as anybody else.
Yeah.
A lot of us have so much fucking potential that you don't realize it because you're so happy being not strung out on dope anymore and staying mediocre. That frustrates me.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. And I see that so much. And I just did a video about this the other day, man.
Really?
It's like people putting a cap on themselves. You know what I mean? That like, okay, like, yeah, we took the drugs away. You know what I mean? You feel a little better. You know what I'm saying? You go get the regular job, which there's nothing wrong with that, right? In the beginning, but like just putting a cap on yourself, like, okay, like this is just where I'm going to coast the rest of my life. And that's just like, that's not reality. I don't think that's reality, man. Like, and that's something that, you know, like I had to change my perspective, man, and believe in myself more that there was more to it. You know what I mean? And, you know, whether that's, you know, getting sober and jumping in a cage and being a cage fighter, like someone like you know what I mean?
For me, that's what did it. But
Yeah.
I don't tell people you got to go be a fucking MMA fighter to have a great life.
Yeah.
For me, the getting uncomfortable, the tools and the life lessons that I've learned through training jiu-jitsu and MMA and actually fighting and getting in the cage, the stuff it's taught me about myself is so far beyond what I ever thought I was going to learn. Like, I thought I was going into the jiu-jitsu gym for the first day to learn jiu-jitsu and learn to become an MMA fighter. And fuck no, I learned life. I learned how to be a man there. And again, AA and the 12 steps and my recovery program helped me along the way for sure. It's kind of the basis of me staying sober. But with just that, I'd still be mediocre.
Yeah.
I learned everything I know about being a man through training.
No, I love that, man. And it is a mental thing. And there's just so many other changes to be done, you know what I mean, in life. And like, I'm no one to talk about the food intake, bro. Like, you know, that's one thing that like I've always struggled with. Like, I can get on like a good pattern of like eating clean, you know what I mean? And like, again, I'm somebody that uses cannabis in my recovery. So like, you know, sometimes, you know, things seem I entertain other foods a little more, you know what I mean? But the whole time, one thing that has changed about me is like the whole time that I'm eating it, bro, I just feel like a piece of shit, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like realistically, I can look back, and once you get sober, right? Like you can really tell a lot. You feel things, right? So like, if I'm eating a bunch of sugar right before I go to sleep, I feel hungover in the morning. You know what I'm saying? And like, you can only really like tell that once you've been based off someone in recovery, let's say, right? When we're ripping and running and using drugs, like we wake up every morning wanting to die, feeling like shit, bro. You know what I mean? That's just realistically like how we feel when we're out there.
Yeah.
You know? But like, once you've had some time of sobriety, you can really like pay attention to yourself more. And like, food, man, plays such a big factor on how I feel every day and even my mental status, man.
Shoot, you made me remember that. And I posted it on my Instagram a while back. It was a video of me right after I finished cutting weight. for a fight, and I was walking with my coaches, and I was like eating some blueberries, and I was like, I said something to the fact like, I didn't realize how fucking great I feel normally until I feel like shit. Because cutting weight makes you feel like shit. You're not eating. You're sweating out 10 pounds of water, right? And then when I feel like shit, it's like, holy shit, I normally feel so fucking awesome. It's great. But you don't, when you're using, or when that the norm is eating like shit, you don't realize it. Once you realize the baseline should be up here and you reach it, it's like something you dip down. It's like, oh fuck, I feel great.
No,
normally.
absolutely, man. And I can even tell the difference, man. Like when my girlfriend's on this, like, let's eat good, you know what I mean, flick right now, you know, like, let's eat healthier. Perfect. And, you know, like, she'll cook and stuff, and, like, I can just tell even the difference. Like, throughout the day, I don't really eat a lot, you know what I mean, because I'm very busy, and, like, I honestly, like, I forget to most of the time. But it's like that meal, like, when I come home, and, you know, like, I can tell that it's night and day, bro, on how easy it is for me to get up in the morning based off whatever I ate before I went to sleep, or like that last meal of my day. And, dude, when it's shit, I'm telling you, like, the next morning, it's like the hardest thing for me to, like, try to get out of bed. And it almost reminds me of that struggle of, like, when I drank too much, you know what I mean? And I'd be, like, hungover, and I'm, like, trying to pull myself out of the bed. Like, the fuck do I feel like they're sober for? You know what I mean?
People,
like,
the stupid saying, you are what you eat. It is, dude,
so
true. So I was, before I got sober, I was, like, there was a point where I was, like, 210 pounds fat, out of shape. Like, I was by no means, like, like I'm not like just a athlete that's always been healthy, right? People out here know me because I came out here, I got sober, and people out here know me like that, but that was not the case. But I have good discipline and willpower when it comes. Now, it's funny because I believe I have better willpower and discipline when it comes to my regular life outside of drug use than probably anybody on the planet. I'll put myself up against. I can stick to a regiment no matter how fucking hard it is. Yet I couldn't keep myself sober with that. When I first got sober, when I got off methadone, I went to this. I've done some crazy shit. I went to this raw vegan living retreat for a month, where I'm gonna break it down for you. So for 1 month you lived at this place and you only ate raw vegan food. Every week you went and got a colonic. You know what a colonic is? They stick a tube up your butt and they flush you out, right? And then
once a week,
every day you gave yourself an enema where you stuck a little tube up your butt, water flushed in and flushed out, right? You're literally cleaning your insides out from all the shit that's been in there. Then you also take wheatgrass. They're big on wheatgrass. Wheatgrass is amazing, by the way. 1 ounce of wheatgrass, they say, has the nutrient equivalent of 2 pounds of green vegetables. So I do 2 shots of wheatgrass almost every day, 2 ounces. That's 4 pounds. So at this place, we would take the wheatgrass when we were done with the enema and squirt 4 ounces of it up our butt. And it the theory. Listen, the theory is it absorbs into your colon and gets it right into your system, your liver, your kidneys, all those.
Well, they
nutrients.
say up your butt's the best way to do anything.
I mean, people stick drugs up their butts. So yes, so I left that place. That's how, when I first got off of methadone, that diet and that place, I think, flushed the methadone out of my system so quick. In about a month when I left there, I was supposed to leave at 3 weeks, and I stayed an extra week just because I was finally starting to sleep and feel a little bit better after a month. And that's like rapid detox of it. Usually it could take longer than that.
Methadone, they say, is a very long period before you start to feel normal.
So I stayed on that raw vegan diet, no cooked food, no animal products for a year. My first year of sobriety, and I was training and fighting. I had just had knee surgery. I was recovering from that. And then I switched from there. I started to feel like my testosterone was getting a little bit low. I don't know if that was an actual thing with the raw food diet. I was also getting a little older. So I started eating some cooked food. I started feeling better, but I stayed on a really strict vegan. I worked at this hippie vegan restaurant. It was really cool in Venice. And I stayed on a vegan diet for another almost 10 years.
So you were this was at a retreat, you said?
So I went from a detox to get off of methadone for like 10 days. And they were like, you ain't going to stay off of it. 10 days is not enough. You have to go to rehab. I wasn't willing to go to rehab. They knew I was into health and wellness, and And they said, there's a place, this is in Florida, in West Palm Beach.
Yeah.
It's called Hippocrates Health Institute. It's a raw vegan, it's not a rehab at all. It's a raw vegan health retreat. People go there to detox themselves just from everyday life and cure themselves of cancer. Like, they can't make those claims, but
it probably does help.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck it, let's do it. I had some money. I got some people to help me out, and I went there.
That's badass, man.
Yeah, it was fucking crazy.
That's wild,
and I did some crazy shit. Yeah, when I first got sober, and all the way through my sobriety. So I'm open to trying new shit, no matter how fucking crazy it is, if it's gonna benefit my health and wellness in some way.
Yeah. So who educated you on that whole like retreat? Who told you about it?
Detox I was at told me about it.
Okay.
So they let me go online and check it out, and I was like, this looks a little fucking weird, but fuck it, I'll do it. So I went, and then I just kind of found out as I was there what was going on, what it was all about, and I was just said yes to all the shit that they were doing.
Wow, man.
It was all kinds
I bet
of
you
cool
felt like $1 million
things.
at least for a while, you know?
I tell you what, I didn't. So a funny story. So I was kicking methadone still when I was there. So the first like week you're there, everybody, even normal people, have this like withdrawal from normal everyday life, I guess, and eating this really clean food. You're kind of like withdrawing from all the toxins and the shit you've been putting in your body. So everyone feels a little bit weird, but I was really feeling bad. So I was about 2 weeks in. I hadn't slept in probably 3 weeks since I was in detox. I'm still coming off methadone. I'm dealing with it though. I'm eating all this shit.
Right.
And I'm in the, I was in the lab. I was getting IV interferon, which is like the world's most powerful antioxidant. No, not interferon. IV glutathione.
Okay.
Glutathione is like a super antioxidant. It's supposed to help flush the system too. So I'm doing that. And I heard some lady sitting next to me talking to the nurse saying that a doctor, she was living in an attic and there was black mold, and she had black mold in her brain, and for some reason the doctor put her on Suboxone for it, and she didn't know anything about Suboxone. And now, this was like months ago, now she's like hooked on Suboxone. She was telling this nurse. So I heard her talking about it, so I followed her out and we left. I was like, I heard what you were saying. I was like, you're on Suboxone? She's like, yeah, I have to take it every day. I was like, ding, 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 ding. I'm gonna go to sleep tonight. I haven't slept in a week. I was like, dude, you mind if I get a couple of that? She was like, yeah, sure, come on over. Gave me a couple of Suboxone. I was like, fuck yeah. So I didn't want to get hooked on them again. I just wanted to sleep. Nick, I'd literally been up for 3 weeks straight. I took a Suboxone. I think I took it for 2 days. I got 2 of the best night's sleep ever. I felt amazing. And then I went back on my journey of stuff. But it was so random.
Hey, at least you got some sleep, bro. That's wild. And I mean, for me, even personally, man, like I'm not a one size fits all, type of guy whenever it comes to this journey of recovery, whether it's from substance abuse or mental health. And I think there's just so many different ways and different avenues. And I mean, same thing with health, you know what I mean? There's just like I never heard some shit like that as far as like that route, but that'll definitely clear you out, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sounds like a very natural way to get you feeling better.
There's a million ways to get sober, I know what worked for me. So when people ask me like advice on how to do it, I tell you what worked for me. That's what worked for me. That's what I think what about this and this? It might work. It might work for you. It didn't work for me. I've never done it, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with health and wellness and eating. I started eating salmon and eggs again a couple years ago, and just recently I started eating grass-fed beef again as well. So my goals are kind of changing, my age is changing, and my stuff is changing. But even when I was all vegan, I never advocated for people to eat vegan. It was like, I feel great.
This is what works for me.
If you want to try it, I'll support you. I'll give you the help you need. If not, continue to eat. I can help you with a healthy food, and you continue to eat. The other stuff you want to. There's so many ways of doing things.
No, I like that you're open minded, man, and it's not like this is the only way. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of that thought process I think out there, especially in the recovery community, that. Like what works for me might not work for you. What works for you might not work for me, But one thing I do know is eating healthier, it definitely works for everyone.
The problem is instant gratification.
Yeah.
We want the instant gratification, right?
Yeah.
That's what it boils down to.
Yeah.
When you're willing to like if I'm hungry and I'm craving sweet or I'm craving McDonald's, and McDonald's is going to gratify me instantly, or whatever the terminology is
Yeah.
there, right? If I'm able to, and then I feel like shit the next day.
Yeah.
If I'm able to put that off and wait and continue to eat healthy for another week, then I feel amazing in a week. But I have to, it's delayed gratification. It's fucking hard to deal with.
It's like letting that pass too. You know what I'm saying? It's like, even with your thoughts, man. And it's the same thing with when it comes to substance abuse and recovery is like, you know, it's okay. Like, you're not responsible for your thoughts, right? Like, you're responsible for your actions, you know? And it kind of goes back to what you were talking about in the beginning, and being able to have self-control and like controlling your emotions and like not acting out. And like, dude, like, again, like I'm tough in a lot of areas, but man, like there's certain areas where, you know, like food is one of my weaknesses, bro.
It's your feelings. Your
You know,
feelings.
it is, man, and that's what it is. It's like, ding, this sounds like this would be really good right now. You know what I mean? And like before you know it, like you already have the cheeseburger in your hand, you're eating it, and you're like, oh shit, like I shouldn't be doing this right now. You know what I mean?
Same thing with driving to go get that dope, right?
Man, same thing.
It's very similar. In fact, that's why I advocate. That's why training MMA has changed my life. And if people are open to it, I say go train jiu-jitsu at least, or MMA. I think it's fucking phenomenal. Yeah. But even if you're not, do something difficult. Get uncomfortable, right? Yeah. The biggest thing it taught me is I don't have to be comfortable all the time. It's after I'm fucking miserable, getting my ass kicked for an hour at practice, I feel fucking amazing. Yep. I feel bad, but my baseline is down here. I was down here for an hour. The rest of the day, I'm fucking up here now, right? Yep. It's like that uncomfortability, that getting out of my comfort zone. That's where the magic happens. Like, I stay more comfortable, and the more comfortable I try to get, the more shitty I feel. Yeah. The more uncomfortable I get, once it passes, the fucking better I feel. It's such a
I totally agree with that.
Backwards way of thinking, but it works.
I totally agree with that. I mean, nothing great comes easy, they say, you know? Yep. And I mean, the same thing is like just something as simple as like the sauna, right? Or like the steam room. I go to Equinox and I'm in the steam room, bro, and I feel like I'm dying. You know what I mean? But like the longer I stay in there, the better I know I'm going to feel when I get out. Man. Yeah. Because I get out the steam room, I hit the shower, and when I'm walking out of Equinox, bro, I feel like a fucking $1 million, bro. Like I'm on 100. You know what I mean? Like, and I suggest everyone try this. Anytime you're doing something that, whether you like it or it's something that has you uncomfortable, whether it's a sauna, a steam room, an ice bath, whatever it might be, talking to your mom, right? You got to call your mom, or whatever, right? Anything that's going to get you uncomfortable. The longer you can endure it, the tougher your mindset is getting. The better mindset you're building. Yep. And when you're done, is a direct correlation to how shitty you felt to how like the bounce back. I totally agree.
Right?
It's so
cool.
With that. I totally agree with that. And I again, man, and it even goes with like just life in general, right? Like, and people that are just like newly changing their life or getting sober or whatever it is, like it's tough in the beginning, man. And that shit is uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Whether it be like, you know, people starting from scratch, man, from going from homelessness to, you know, starting their first job, or, you know, going to a rehab center, and their first job is usually a shit job, man. You know what I mean? Like I remember, you know, 8.5, 9 years ago, I'm working at Little Caesars down in South Florida. You mentioned West Palm Beach. I'm working at a Little Caesars down there, and I'm taking 2 buses to work and 2 buses home from work to go back to my halfway house, and I'm living in a room with 15 other guys. You know what I mean?
Saving no money, just getting enough to get by.
It sucked. You know what I mean? But like, you know, it starts there, and then next thing you know, I'm working at a hot dog shop, and I'm making $9 an hour. You know what I mean?
Building character along the way, not realizing it in the moment.
Exactly. Because like now I can look back at these times, and I'm like, shit. And even sometimes I'm like, that was a lot more simpler back then. You know what I mean? But it's really like, you know, built me to where like I can handle the stress of, you know, owning my own business today. You know what I mean? And being able to deal with other individuals' emotions, and working in the industry that I do work in, and, you know, being able to influence people to do the same thing, man. That like, it's not always going to be uncomfortable. You know what I mean? It's not always going to be like, you know, like hard, you know what I mean? Yes, like in the beginning, it fucking sucks, bro. This whole process of like changing yourself and changing your life and, you know, getting sober, whatever it is, like change is not easy. It's very uncomfortable. If it is easy and it is comfortable, you're probably not growing. Yep. You know what I mean?
100%.
And I just feel like that's the way that, you know, it's been in my life, and that's the way that it's been in, you know, I've seen in other people's lives. And as long as you don't throw in the towel, bro, you know what I mean? As long as you don't throw in the fucking towel, like, and you don't give up, like, it's gonna get better. You 100%.
Know? that's been, and through my fighting career, that's a mindset I've had to keep. Like, there are no losses if you don't give up and quit, right? Like, my coaches say, you win some, you learn some, right? So your loss is only a loss if you just fucking throw it out the window and don't do anything with it. If you learn from it, it's a fucking win. You got an experience that you needed to do. And anytime you pivot anywhere in life, there's always, you didn't go through the hard shit. Now your life is just great forever, right? There's always going to be another pivot, and it's going to get hard again. But you have some perspective where you look back and you're like, oh yeah, I might be going through the fire right now, but it's going to be great when I get to the other side.
I can handle this now. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I tell people that shit all the time, man. That like, just because we get our shit together, man, does not mean that it's all going to be like rainbows and unicorns. You know what I mean? Yep. Like, just because we got sober, just because we decided to be on this kick of like bettering ourselves, does not mean that like life stops, right? Like, things are still going to happen that are completely out of our control. Like, tragedies are going to happen. Like, losses are going to happen. Like, things are going to not go our way. You know what I mean? Always. Like, that's just life. And these are things that are like literally out of your control that just happen to you. You know what I mean? Like, bad things happen to good people. I say it all the time. Yep. But it's like, are you going to be spiritually fulfilled enough, right? Are you going to be fulfilled enough to where you can be able to handle that? Because it seems to me, right, like every time things get great, right, and everything's going just smooth sailing, there's a curveball coming somewhere, right? And it's like, are you going to be able to catch that curveball, right, and like keep it moving and not dismantle yourself and throw in the towel? And it's really like preparing yourself for that, because it's not smooth sailing the whole way, bro. And I'm sure that you can say the same thing even in your life today, man. And like, like you can work on yourself all you want, but you're still going to have to deal with these exterior problems that are out of your control that just happen, man.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like,
100%. I literally just made kind of a pivot in my life. So I'm still training and fight. I just fought a few months back. But I'm starting this online coaching business, online fitness, nutrition, mindset, accountability. And I kind of thought it was going to be easy. I was like, I'm a fucking professional MMA fighter. I'm a bad motherfucker, right? People are going to see me and be like, fuck, that motherfucker is going to whip me into shape, right? And then I started the business. I started posting some of my fight stuff, but I didn't really look at the big picture. I'm not trying to coach people to be fighters, right? To be an MMA fighter, you need to go in person, right? Yeah. I'm trying to coach people into losing weight, learn to lift weights and build some muscle, get in shape, learn to diet right, and have a tough mindset and accountability. And people are watching my stuff, I think, and they're like, well, I don't want to be a fighter. This dude's too fucking intense for what I'm looking for. Yeah. And I'm not getting a lot of people reaching out to me. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Right. Like, this sucks. And now I'm out of work for a few months. I'm starting to do this, and then it's not really taking off. I was like, fuck, it's going to take off. I'm going to be a fucking millionaire in no time. And it's not happening that way, right? So now I'm like, shit, what do? I go back to the drawing board. I reassess, and I start saying, okay, my job, what I'm selling is getting to the gym, getting a good diet, and having a strong mindset. Instead of showing my MMA stuff, in fact, instead of doing all my MMA training, why don't I take a little break from that and start to get to the gym, lift weights every day, start to show more about my diet and what I eat on a daily basis, start to show more about my mindset and how maybe fighting and training or anything difficult kind of transform my mindset into being able to stick to my goals and have some discipline and be able to work through a lack of motivation at times, right? And now I'm just starting to make that kind of shift now, and I'm hoping that so those are the kind of things that I've learned. Don't throw in the fucking towel, make an adjustment, and keep fucking going, right?
Exactly,
that's life experience.
Never take no for an answer either. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to give up on this thing. And I can tell you based off like my own experience in looking at your Instagram page, and I told you, bro, like, I'm the clean eating thing, man, is just like really soaked in with me. I'm like, fuck, dude, like, this is something I need to get a handle on. You know what I mean? And
I try to make it like, I'm not like, okay, you got to count your macros and you got to have broccoli, white rice, and chicken for every meal. No. If you you look at my meals, I have like good fucking meals.
I see it.
You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, people are always hitting me up. Holy shit, that looks amazing. Where do you get that? Where's that from? Like, that's fine. And that is, it's
healthy.
Keeps me on point. Like, that is part of I put together a regimen, what I can eat, what I can't eat, and I stick to it. But I enjoy it. I love the way I eat. Like, literally, if you told me no consequences at all, you could have a day to go eat whatever the fuck you want, McDonald's, fucking ice cream, whatever, I don't think or you could have a day to go eat this amazing healthy meal. I would literally pick the healthy meal today.
Really?
I would. I've become accustomed to it. And
even if you wouldn't
it.
feel like shit.
Even if I wouldn't feel like shit or have any consequences, I don't think it's hard to say because, again, I'm a fucking raging drug addict up here. Like, if I eat a bowl of ice cream, I'll be on Skid Row shooting dope in fucking 3 days. Like, that's truly what I believe. So I don't do it. But let's say there were no consequences. I think I would still rather eat my healthy fucking meals than the shit I do.
Right.
Yeah, my mind and my body have physically changed to craving nutrients rather than. You ever eat a ton of like fucking McDonald's and you're still fucking hungry?
Yeah.
Your mind,
time, bro.
you're not hungry. You're craving nutrients. You got no fucking nutrients, right? Your body and your mind is craving nutrients that you didn't get. So your belly is full, but your body is not nourished. So you still think you're hungry.
Now this makes sense. You know
I eat a decent portion of food and I'm fucking full. I feel good. I like that.
Yeah. No.
And I wasn't always like that.
Yeah. No. I respect that, man. You said, man, I eat a fucking bowl of ice cream. I'm a fucking Skid Row.
Yeah. It's a quick slow down.
Bro, like, I get it, man. I get it. I love food so much, man. And you know what I mean? But like, it's really, at the end of the day, it's not worth the feeling that comes with it. And I express that a lot through like, I've got my own, I wouldn't call it like a fitness journey, but like when I got sober, I never stepped foot in the gym until, I've been clean for, a couple years. And, some of the guys that I was in a sober living with were one of the guys I was his halfway house manager. He was like this fucking jack dude. And he was like a personal trainer and started going to the gym with him. And I was like, damn, dude, like I'm starting to see like results, you know what I mean? And like, oh man, like I feel good. And he's like fucking meal prepping at the house and shit. I'm like, damn, dude, like, oh, I feel like $1 million, and like, it's like almost like a healthy addiction in a way, where I was super on top of it. I was like going 6 days a week, you know what I mean, back then. And the more responsibility I've acquired, I want to say like, I try to go my 5 days a week, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to sit here and make excuses to you as a fucking, who you are on like why I don't go to the gym, but like sometimes I just fucking don't feel like it, you know what I mean? After my day's work, or like I tell myself, I'm going to get up at 6 tomorrow. I'm going to go to the gym before I go to the office. That's my favorite thing, is getting up in the morning.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Because there's so much shit can go wrong later on in the day. If you can get up and get it done first thing in the morning, you don't have to fucking worry about
this industry, you know what I mean? Like, you never know, like, when fucking something happens, you know what I mean?
Always something's happening.
And, but that's always, I just love, I'm a morning person, you know what I mean? Like, I love getting up in the morning. I love going to do a workout in the morning and just starting a day like that, you know what I mean? Dude, and really setting the tone.
Even if you're not I'll tell you, anyone listening, here's a little life hack to start to get a little bit of discipline, right? Even if you're not a morning person, stop hitting the fucking snooze button. The snooze button to me I'm starting the day. All right, I'm saying I'm going to wake up at 6 a.m., right? I set my alarm for 6 a.m. 6 a.m. comes around, the alarm goes off, and what do? I start my day out with the loss. I'm going to fucking snooze it. And then 15 minutes later, are you any less tired? No, you're the same fucking situation. You might hit it again and again and loss. Or you just when you finally get the fuck up, what's the difference from getting fuck up 20 minutes earlier, right? That's so difficult for people. I get it. It was difficult for me. But when you figure
that just hit me in my soul.
When you figure out that the snooze button is just starting the day out with the loss and you're only delaying shit, you're not doing anything, it changes it's the first step to starting to change that fucking.
I got all these alarms, right? I got all these alarms and they start at 6. And then there's 6:15. Then there's 6:30.
I've seen it, yeah.
6:45. Then there's 7. You know what I mean? Like they just keep going, and the way I need to look at it, man, is that's really good. I like the way you said that too, man. It's like I'm just starting a day with a loss.
And if it's 7 o'clock that you want to wake up, fine. Set the alarm for fucking 7, not 6. But get up when you set the fucking alarm. That's a win. You're starting the day off. You're doing what you said you were gonna do. You have some fucking integrity. You're starting off the day with a man of integrity.
You're right, man.
I like that.
Yeah, no, that's true too, because like it's gotten a little more, I want to say like recently, recently my girlfriend's moved in, and you know what I mean, like I've had a little bit of trouble like sleeping, you know what I mean, because I'm not like used to like sleeping all the time with like another person in my bed. And I'm used to having my dogs up there, and now she doesn't want the dogs in the bed. It's just a lot of changes going on, man, you know. But like I've noticed it recently. Like I've been hitting that fucking snooze button, bro. Like and I'm talking like multiple times, bro. Like I'm hitting it snooze, snooze, snooze. I might even hit it 4 times, bro. Yeah. And now you're telling me that that's 4 losses that I started my day with.
Be honest about this. When you do finally get up, were you any more awake than you were 3 snoozes ago?
No, it's worse, bro. It's worse. You know what I mean? Like what I can say is it gets worse. So each time I snooze and go back to sleep, I'm more tired and more tired and more
frustrated that you got woken up again.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, and that's literally it. Like I've noticed that if I wake up, boom, it's 6 o'clock, and I'm like, I tell myself, right, I can get about 15 more minutes. Like, what the fuck does 15 more minutes fucking make a difference, bro?
And here's the mindset shift. If you actually don't have to be up till 6:15 to start your day, set the fucking alarm for 6:15. Yeah. That way you can get up and be like, it's time, and get the hell up. That's just a win. It's a way to win.
See, that's a good way to put it too, because it's like, okay, I know I need to get to the gym. I know I need to leave the house by 7. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So realistically, I could get up at 6:30 and leave the house by 7.
6:30, so, right? Because otherwise, you're setting yourself up.
That's what I'm doing, right? Yeah. So I'm like starting it at 5:45, 6 o'clock, 6:15, because I know I'm gonna hit it three times before I actually get up. Like, no, man, that's a really valid point, man. It's like you gotta act like you got court that day.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
That's always a motivator.
It's crazy. So you got any family, bro?
I have a mom back on the East Coast.
Okay.
And a brother that's a year younger than me that's in jail back on the East Coast. And a nephew. My mom is currently watching the nephew. He's 9 years old. He was born. When he was born, I had almost a year sober. I relapsed. I was out here. I was back in Boston. He was born. I was strung out, struggling. And then I got sober. I went to treatment like couple weeks after he was born, so his age and my sobriety age are exactly the same.
Oh, that's cool, bro.
It's kind of cool.
That's super cool. So you got a good relationship with your mom then?
Yes, yeah. My mom's the greatest lady.
That's
ever.
How I feel about my mom.
Yeah, she does too much for me. Like she's the biggest enabler. Yeah. She was that through all my using, right? Bro. And she still is. I try not to let her do it to me. I try to be self-sufficient, but even with my brother, but she does it out of love, so it's so hard to. It's like, oh my God,
it was same thing with my mom, and my mom started going to Al-Anon. You know,
I tried to send my mom to Al-Anon. She won't do it. She won't do it. She's like, I can't do it.
It changes them. I remember that first time I called my mom. I'm on the streets in Florida. Mom, I need you to Western Union me $30. And she finally said no. I was like, you've been going to Al-Anon. You know, but she's my mom's my rock, man. She's the sweetest lady alive, in my opinion. That's cool. So you go back over to the East Coast much? Or?
Once in a great while, maybe once a year lately.
Yeah. How long you been sober now then?
I will have 10 years next month.
Holy shit, bro.
March 23rd.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
That's good for you.
Yeah, and I've worked in treatment. So I also work in treatment. I've been working in treatment since when I went to rehab. Went to detox residential, went to sober living. I was in sober living for about 6 months, and I was killing it in there. I remember the sober living manager, house manager would come in all the time, and he'd be like, Jay, I always know exactly what time it is by what you're doing. You are on a fucking schedule. You're doing your push-ups. You're going for your run. You're making your smoothie. You're eating your breakfast every single day at the same time. I didn't even realize it. I was just like, but so they recognized like I was kind of a leader in there, and people were eating healthy because of me. They were working out because of me.
Same thing that happened to me.
So they made me the house manager. And that started my journey. Then through the last 9.5 years, I've been kind of growing and doing everything in treatment.
Industry,
but I love what you said about, people in treatment or I've always taken people with me to the gym and kind of motivated them. Since I've been working in treatment, I have a buddy that comes and teaches boxing or MMA type stuff at treatment centers. I think it's fucking huge. I think it I always try to get people to eat healthy. Whenever I cook, I'll cook my lunch at work at the treatment center. I'll make healthy shit for the clients too. And it's funny when they see, it's hard to tell someone to do something. When they see you doing something, actions speak so much louder than words. When they
100%.
see you doing something, they just follow suit. And it's like they've been in detox or residential for a month now, and they've been eating just like you, and they're like, holy shit, I feel fucking amazing.
Yeah.
When it never would have happened just by someone telling them to eat healthy, right?
No, you're right. It's really it's about like doing it yourself, and like that's like I said, I learned from a guy that I was in sober living with that
you looked up to him, you wanted some of what he had.
That part of his life, man, the fitness, like he was just always about it, always eating clean, had everything prepped, doing his smoothies, going to the gym. He was probably going to the gym twice a day sometimes, you know what I mean? I was a little excessive for me, but like, you know, he was going to the gym twice a day. Then he got a job at the gym, you know what I mean? And then he finally got his personal train. He went to school to become a personal trainer, and like he like did all of these things, you know what I mean? And I really like looked up to like the fact that, you know, I didn't necessarily want to be a personal trainer, but just like really taking care of myself, man. Like
that's really how life works, but that's absolutely how sobriety works, right?
Yeah.
You kind of, and the 12 steps of AA, that's how they work as well. You get through them and then you bring someone else through them. But that's just how life works in general. You, by your actions, you lead somebody else along the way. You give that back to the other people, the stuff that worked for you to become who you were.
Yeah.
And then they follow a path and they give it away to somebody else.
It's exactly what it is, man. And it's like those cliches, right? Like we can only keep what we have by giving it away. And like, I truly believe that. And I say it all the time. And I think that every single person on this earth's purpose is to help somebody else in some way, shape, or form. You know what I mean?
Most people don't. Again, they're saying, "I don't know what they don't know what they don't know." Most people don't know that that's their purpose.
Yeah.
They either think they have nothing to give away, or they just want to keep it all for themselves. When the light goes on and somebody realizes that their fucking purpose is to help somebody else, is help the next person get to where they are. It's a beautiful thing.
It is. It's a really beautiful thing, man. And that's really been like my mission these days, man, is that I just want to help, bro. You know what I mean? Like I've seen so much tragedy, and like you too, like I'm sure you've seen a lot of death in this, you know, working in this space and being involved in the recovery community. And, you know, I lost my brother, you know, back in 2019, and, you know, lost my best friend back in 2014. And, you know, I've seen that, you know, I was just talking to one of the guys about this today, is like, I've seen that as long as you operate like from your heart, right? As long as you operate from a place of caring, you know what I mean? In a place of like genuinely like wanting to help and save and like change people's lives, like everything else flourishes, you know what I mean? And you kind of just like align with the universe and things go the way that they're supposed to go, man. And I've seen it so much in my life lately, man. And and just with, you know,
call it karma if you want.
Yeah,
call it whatever.
Yeah, man.
Be,
like you're a good person, man. Like good things happen, and it's doing stuff as small as like not throwing fucking trash out your window, bro. You know what I mean? Like not talking shit behind people's backs. Like, you know, like
that's a big one.
It's just like doing the right thing when no one's looking. You know, like. Because the universe is always watching, bro, and I truly believe that if you operate from a place of, you know, like I said, of caring and passion and genuinely just wanting to make a difference in someone's life, like the money comes, bro. You know what I mean?
Well, I would assume that's kind of what prompted you to open a treatment center, right?
100%. Like
again, the money, it's a business. I'm sure the money has come, but that's not the. I'd be willing to bet, although we haven't talked. That's not you didn't get into this to make a bunch of money.
No,
you got into this to start helping.
I did.
People.
And you know what I mean? Like years and years ago, people pushed me to, you know, to open a place, and I didn't believe in myself enough. You know what I mean? And like I didn't think that I could do it. You know, like years ago. Like this is, you know, we've been open. You know, I opened the Sober Living over 2 years ago. We've had the outpatient open almost a year now, and like, you know, I didn't believe in myself, you know what I mean? And I would act like it, you know, like, oh yeah, you know, I could go, but deep down inside I was like, no, I can't do this shit.
It's a big endeavor.
You know what I mean? But like, I took a look back, right, and I'm like, you know, I've made it this far, right? Like I've been able to work my way up in this industry off solely waking up every single morning and asking God to put people in my place to help every day. And everything just growing and opportunities and speaking around the country and schools and prisons and jails and just like flourishing as an individual in recovery, right? You know, and I finally like, I just put the pieces together, man. And like just the way that this whole process has gone, right, is I've simply done this because I want to help families sleep at night. You know what I mean? Like I want, you know, I never want a mother to feel what my mother felt. you know, when I was out there and whenever we lost my brother, you know what I mean? And my best friend's family, like, I know that there's a solution, right? I know that families can be repaired. I know that, like, these individuals that don't believe in themselves can really, truly do something with their life. And I know it's possible because I've done it myself, and I've watched hundreds of, if not thousands of people do the same thing, you know? And it's truly just like what I love to do. And God has provided, right? God, higher power, whatever you want to call it, the universe, like a power greater than myself has been looking over me through this whole process, man. And it's just, we've just flourished, bro. And I mean, like, not only in just like a business aspect, but just in my own personal life and like just how things have gone, man, that I swear it's just like everything just has just lined up, man. And I'm just like, sometimes I'm like, is this like really?
Well, now
like,
it's all
like,
about
where's the
giving
fuck
it back,
up at? You know what I mean? Like,
now it's all about giving back.
It
like
is.
that's like your business, your life has become helping other people.
It is, man, and it takes a lot. Don't get me wrong. Like this industry, man, like is a very emotionally, spiritually draining and mentally draining industry. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
not everybody makes it. You know what I'm saying? Like not a lot of people. There's more failure than there is success in the substance abuse space and mental health space. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot more failure. But for the ones that you do get to see succeed, man, like it's worth it all. You know what I mean? To like be able to speak to a kid's mom on the phone and her say that like I got my first good night's sleep last night because like I know my son's safe. You know what I'm saying? Like that beats any paycheck, bro.
Amazing.
You know what I mean?
I've had clients of mine reach out to me years later, like, I'm still sober. Yeah. Do you remember me? You did this, or there was a kid that literally OD'd in my sober living, and I brought him back to life and called that. He's like, literally, you saved my life, and I'm sober today. Like, I literally cry when I get texts and shit like that. It's fucking amazing.
Yeah, no, like it's that beats anything, bro. You know what I mean? Just like, and this industry is something truly special.
Yeah.
You know, and like I'm sure, like just based off how you carry yourself today and having, you know, almost 10 years sober, bro. Like that is. You know, like I'm sure you've made an impact on so many different people's lives, and something as simple as just showing someone to eat right.
Yeah. You
know what I mean? Goes such a long way.
You never know what is going to be the thing that kind of makes a difference in somebody's life.
Exactly.
Like from wherever my job is in treatment, and I've worked everything from a sober living tech to the executive director running the facility, and I always manage to stay in direct contact with the clients and go out of my way to do something. If somebody's struggling, they're angry, they don't want to go to group, and it's like, and everyone's like, no, you got to go to group, that's the rule. And I'm like, whoa, what's really going on? Let's go get a coffee, and I bring them out. We go for a walk. We get a fucking whatever it might be. It's like that might fucking have changed that kid's life. That might be the reason he's fucking alive today. You just never know. So it's having a little bit of empathy, putting yourself in the position, which is easy for me to do because I was in that position. Right? And kind of taking it how you would you want to be treated, treating people that way.
You can see it from your own perspective because you've been through the same thing, man. Like, and it's people like us can get through to people that are struggling better than someone that's went to school to study this shit, right? That has credentials, that you know is licensed.
100%.
You know,
there's a lot of great licensed therapists and be like that. But the letters after somebody's name does not make them. Somebody might have letters and they're fucking amazing, but they also might have letters and just be good in fucking school, right? For me, it's who you are and
I don't quote the book often, right? But in the basic text, it says, I believe it's in the basic text, but it says the therapeutic value of one addict helping another is without parallel.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I truly, truly believe that shit, man. And there's a lot of people in recovery that ended up, you know, getting sober and like, shit, I want to be a therapist. You know what I mean? And they went to school and they got their license and, you know, they're a therapist now, and that's a badass therapist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But psychiatrists, you know, medical doctors, other therapists that I've met, not knocking it at all, but there's just something special and spiritual about one addict helping another, bro, and like having that conversation, you know what I mean? For sure. One that's got a little more experience than the other. is something super special. And it's like you don't get that same energy and that same lock-in with somebody that hasn't walked the same path as them, you know?
Yes, 100%. There's something there. There's something, excuse me, there's something deeper than just the knowledge, just giving you some knowledge.
Yeah, which all that's good too. Cognitive behavioral therapy, you know what I mean? They've got trauma therapy, EMDR, like all these things are very beneficial, you know what I mean? But there's something about two fucked up motherfuckers that understand each other.
I agree.
You know what I mean? So,
I agree completely.
well, dude, I appreciate you so much for coming on, man. And if anybody wants to, reach out to you or get in touch with you when it comes to your fitness stuff, or they're inspired by this podcast, because I hope that this has helped someone. Because, bro, I mean, I'm being honest with you. In this last hour that we've been talking, like I'm really like rethinking some of the shit I'm doing in my life with the way that I eat and the snooze button for sure, bro. You got me on that one, So if anybody wants to reach out to you and they're interested in getting in contact with you, where can they find
Instagram, BMF_mindset. That's bad motherfucker.
Bad motherfucker.
That's my fight nickname.
BMF_mindset.
Yeah, and just anybody can shoot me a DM and I'll respond. Like I'm all about. Like if you want to join my program, fantastic. You don't, you just want some information and some help, whether it's getting sober with your diet, with the workout plan, shoot me a DM. Fucking let's talk. I love this shit. I literally love this shit. I'd do it for free if I could, if I didn't have to make a living. You know what I mean?
No, you can tell, man. You can tell you're passionate about it, and that's I think that's that's gonna bring you success in itself. And again, like I said, if I know anybody that needs help with that nutrition, I'm definitely going to send them your way. So
fuck yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast, man.
Awesome. Appreciate it.